Recently, Alan Wake 2 has been on sale and it got very good reviews from critics when it was released almost exactly a year ago. So for that reason I thought, let's buy this one. Now I never played the first Alan Wake, but I thought that's what the story of Alan Wake in 5-minute videos are good for, I guess. And I did play Control and I really like that one. Now in this video I'll be looking at Alan Wake 2 and see if we can get it running at 60 FPS in 4K without ray tracing. Because with ray tracing, some quick tests showed me that we can't run this game at 60 FPS in 4K, at least not on my system. However, stay tuned for a video about the ray trace settings because I'm making one and it will be released shortly after this one. However, for this video it's non-ray trace focused. So I guess that's about it, and let's dive into the world of Bright Falls and have a look at Alan Wake 2 without ray tracing. Welcome to Henkes Gaming, guess who I am? And no, I'm not Nightingale, although I did see the similarities when he was walking through the forest at the beginning of the game naked. Well, good luck with that mental picture. And we'll start off with some footage of the game running at maximum settings, even higher than the highest preset. The game is really gorgeous and heavy to run, but well, gorgeous doesn't come for free, I guess. So max settings, 4K DLSS performance, so that's not really max settings I guess, but oh well, DLAA would be better. Anyways, and it runs a little above 30 FPS, but it looks so damn good. Anyway, let's have a quick look at some different setting levels, just to get a broad idea of the performance. And well, if we turn everything to low, off and stuff like that, still at 4K with DLSS performance though, but then it looks a lot less impressive, I must say. The world is empty, a bit plain looking, although textures still look nice and there's still some decent fog effects, so it's not all bad. And at a glorious 108 FPS, that's nice. Unless you were thinking about running that game on your 120 FPS monitor. Let's go to the low preset then with ray tracing turned off, and I must say, now, well, no one's forcing me, I mustn't say anything, but still, this game looks not bad at all. We still have reflections in the water, the world is not as empty as it was, we have nice looking shadows, the fog effects still look great, and running at 93 FPS, so I'm very confident that we can get this game running at 60 FPS. Now, the best settings, DLSS performance, but otherwise the best settings. So that's everything at max, high, ultra, you name it. Now reflections in the water are sharper looking, there are more plants in the world and the fog seems a bit more dense, but running just below 60 FPS, so we need to turn things down a little bit. Now just for fun, let's enable ray tracing. And there goes the almost 60 FPS, down to 30. Lighting looks a bit different, not sure if it looks better, but at least different. There is more forest reflected in the water, and of course those reflections won't be screen spaced, but will keep on screen no matter what. Well, now, to keep this video at an acceptable length, I've chosen to make a whole different video about those ray trace settings, but well, I already told you. Let's quickly compare the best settings to my optimized settings, see what I came up with, and how much better it runs. And well, the game doesn't really have a benchmark, so I'll just walk the same way for a bit and compare. First off, the best settings. So the best settings are even higher than the high preset. The high preset turns a few settings to medium, like volumetric lighting or texture filtering, but this footage is with everything set to high, ultra or whatever the max is. And we're running between 50 and 55 FPS. So all of you with a European monitor or TV, you can just set everything to the highest and run the game at 50 Hz with Vsync on. Plays great, looks great, no optimizations needed at all. But well, we want 60 FPS, so let's optimize these settings. And let's have a look at these optimized settings, or how it runs. So with the optimized settings, it runs between 60 and 65 FPS. So I would say that's a win of 20%. Not bad at all if I say so myself. And it's looking, well, quite different, but I'm afraid something went wrong with my HDR recording. Therefore it looks different and a bit darker. But other than that, looking at the details, I think it looks about as well, to be honest. You can see a few things clearly being scaled down, and that's mainly the volumetric lighting, the God rays, I think. But other than that, it looks great. And well, let's have a look at these settings. They are essentially a mix of low and medium preset. But I did scale up some of the settings because I think that the lower levels look, well, not that great. So let's go over these settings, but first I want to do a shout out to Remedy for the menu, by the way. I always like it when developers try to make Henkes Gaming obsolete by adding great descriptions of what settings do and screenshots of what they change in the game. That way you yourself can be a Henk that is gaming. So Remedy did a good job. Perhaps not as good as the menu in Hellblade 2 was, but still. But now, these settings. Display mode, set it to full screen or borderless. Or if you love your wallpaper on your system, set this to windowed and then select a very low resolution so you can constantly clearly see your wallpaper. I will, however, set this to full screen as my wallpaper isn't that interesting and I want to see Alan Wake 2. I choose 4K with the resolution, that is the resolution, 4K 3840 by 2160. Render resolution, set it to performance, which renders the game at half the resolution and then scales it back up to 4K. I tested this setting in some other games in earlier videos, and every time I came to the conclusion that performance is the best pick for FPS win without losing too much clarity or sharpness in your picture. Resolution upscaling, DLSS if you can, otherwise FSR2 of course. Leave off DLSS frame generation and turn on Vsync. And the effects, I left these all on, and I didn't even have a look in the comparison of these settings to what these really do, but generally I think everyone set these settings just to whatever they prefer or always leave them on. So we're doing that here. But then the quality settings, now this is where the optimizations happen. Quality preset, turn it to medium and we'll work from there. And we'll start off with one I had the most trouble with. Post-processing. So only at the end of shooting almost all my footage I decided to go with the post-processing set to high, and I was shooting everything with the post-processing set to medium. In gameplay I think you'll never notice post-processing being set to medium, and it will give you a very nice increase in FPS. However, in cutscenes I found this setting set to medium quite jarring a few times. Keep watching in this video, we'll dive into all those settings further on in the video, but for now I would say set post-processing to high. Then texture resolution, you can set this one to low, and then the texture filtering we set to high. And then if you set the preset to medium, you can leave volumetric lighting and volumetric spotlight quality to medium. I didn't test the volumetric spotlight quality, but I think it has the same effect as the volumetric lighting, so medium for these both. Global illumination quality I left at high. I didn't really see the difference for this one, so I left it on high for the fear of missing out. Shadow resolution, set it to high. Shadow filtering, set this to medium, as well as the shadow detail. Screen space ambient occlusion we leave on. Leave global reflections at the low setting, as well as the screen space reflections. This gives reflections a bit more noise, but all in favor of more FPS. And then the fog quality, turn it down to medium, and the terrain quality you can turn down to medium as well. For object detail or LOD, we leave at high, as pop-in is always the enemy. And the scattered object density, leave it at ultra level, so we have the maximum of junk, plants and stuff in our world. And who doesn't like a stuff-filled world? And those are the optimized settings, so we're between the medium and low preset with a few things tweaked. If you want to know why we tweaked these few things, keep watching as we'll dive into all those settings in detail in the next bit of the video. Also, just note that I always place these settings in the description of the video as well, so you can have a look at the text if you want to review them or something, just so you know. But first, welcome in my mind place. This is not a real room, it's all in my mind. But then you are in my mind as well. This is weird. Please leave a like if you like this video so far and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss that next video about Alan Wake 2's ray trace settings. But well, let's quickly continue with the non-ray trace settings. And we'll go through these in no real particular order, and we'll start with the far object detail, also called LOD, level of detail. And I'll put some circles around things popping in, but well, do I really need to? I am pretty sensitive to this stuff, I think. Even at high level I sometimes see things popping in and think, ah, that's not good. So don't go with the medium setting. And if we go to high, then you can still see some things popping in or switching LOD, but it's far less intrusive than the medium level. FPS wise, high perhaps runs 1 FPS lower than medium, but I think it's worth it. Fog quality up next, and I think we can go with medium for this one. Fog is a little bit less dense on medium, as you can see best I think on the trees in the back in the top right. But you see this when you set the images side by side. You won't notice this when playing the game, and I don't think this breaks the atmosphere of the game or something. It's a win of 3 to 4% in FPS, so I'd say let's go for that few percent more FPS. Global illumination. So I found no difference in this setting. Here we're comparing low versus high, and I don't see what the difference is. Not in FPS, nor do I see it on screen. I would say leave this setting too high, because I'm not sure if I tested this wrong or looked at the wrong place, and we don't want glitching and bad graphics all of a sudden. But leave it too high because it doesn't matter, and just for the fear of missing out, man. Well, let's go to the global reflections. And here in the forest I think it's very clear, at least the difference between off and low. Low and high I don't see the difference. Well, in this case I would say go with low. You definitely don't want to turn it off, but here we know we see a difference, and then I think you don't miss out on anything if you set this to high. So low it is, although the performance win is not that big, but well. Now, to be honest, in the forest I think you see the difference very well between off and the other levels. Where you're strolling around your usual deer fest in your favorite town, it's less visible. But oh well, low it is for now. Post-processing quality. Looking at this scene, you would say go for medium. It's a 15 to 16% win in FPS. At the medium we run 82 FPS, on high 69 FPS. 69. And the depth of field effect, it's a little bit less detailed on medium, but it's not all that bad. Also the bloom effect on medium, it looks indistinguishable from high. But now, why I think you should set this setting to high. During gameplay you will probably not notice this setting at medium, but then I was playing with it at medium and I came, well, not into the diner, just after the talk with the witnesses, and then you get a cutscene, and then there, the curtains in the background, they were shimmering like crazy, and I found it so annoying. Unfortunately, I did not capture that footage, but you can have a look here, when Saga and Casey arrive in Bright Falls. Look at the airco unit in the back when Saga gets out of the car, and then the road on the right, you see the shimmer. And I think this is bad, but it's not that annoying. But those curtains in the diner, man. For my optimized settings, even though frame rate wise I think it's a shame, but we're turning post-processing quality to high. Now if you don't mind the shimmer that much, then of course set post-processing quality to medium, because you win a lot in FPS. Okay, on to easier settings to decide. The amount of shit on the ground setting, the scattered object density. Now I would say more shit is more rendering cost, so lower FPS, but not really, or not that much I would say. No shit on the ground runs just a few FPS better than the ultra setting. It's about 3 to 4% better. But well, you have no shit laying on the ground, and you want shit on the ground. So we could go with a 1 to 2% increase in FPS by turning this setting to high, but I'd say leave this setting at ultra for those extra few percent in FPS it costs. It makes the world look even more detailed. So ultra it is, I guess. SSR, or screen space reflections. We have off, low and high. Looking at this, we don't want this setting off. That looks bad. And not even for an enormous FPS win, so why would you turn it off? Anyways, going from high to low, you'll win 4% in FPS, going from 72 to 75 FPS. The reflections on low contain a bit more noise, but for water like this, you can almost mistake the noise for water being less clean. I think it's okay to turn this down for the FPS win, so low it is. Shadow detail. The settings menu mentions that this controls the amount of geometric details in shadows, and I have no clue where to find this. This shot right here is just to show you that I don't see anything different. But I checked this setting at multiple places where I thought, well, here is geometric difference, so height difference in the landscape, in the geometry, but don't know. So my decision is to put it on low, and I base my decision on the screenshot in the menu. Looks okay to put this on low, don't know if you'll notice it. Maybe you don't win anything in FPS, but well, I have no FOMO for this one. And we keep looking at shadows, because this game is all about that dark place and shadowy figures. So, looking at shadows is the right thing to do in Alan Wake. And shadow filtering is what we're looking at. And you can notice this one. On the edges of the shadow, if you look carefully, you'll see they have a little bit more of a shimmer at the medium level. Might even need to zoom in a little bit for this to see it better. Well, on medium, a slight bit more shimmer. For the slight win in FPS of about 1 to 2%, that's about 1 FPS. But well, you will not notice this while playing the game and this being at the lower quality, so we'll go for the slight win in FPS. And even more shadows, would you believe it? Well, even if you don't believe it, it's on your screen, so yeah, why won't you believe it? Anyways, the shadow resolution, and without looking at this, without looking at the frame rate, I can immediately tell you we're going for the high setting. I already find low and medium setting too annoying with blocks of shadow flicker. On high you still have this a tiny bit, but it's not annoying. We're running at 57 FPS, while turning this down to medium would give you 61 FPS, so a nice 6 to 7% increase in FPS. But yeah, as I said, I will gladly trade in those FPS for way better looking shadows. SSAO, screen-spaced ambient occlusion. Now often in games it's the same story. Keep ambient occlusion on because it makes objects more grounded in the game. With Alan Wake 2 it's no different. Unfortunately it's just on or off, you cannot select different levels, but well then, leave it on. Now in the mine place, but in the diner as well for example, I think objects still look pretty okay with SSAO turned off. We see the cardboard box here, the top of it loses some of its shadows and the box on the chair looks a bit more plain. But the mug and the pile of files and pictures on the table, they still look pretty okay with SSAO turned off. If we look outside however, there's a way bigger change. All the grass loses its shadow when SSAO is turned off. Also, that cozy picnic table in the back has less depth in it because it's missing shading. Strange enough, even though the visual difference here are way bigger, the difference in FPS here is way lower. Anyways, still I would leave SSAO on. And then another setting I didn't know what to look at, terrain quality. Well, at first I didn't know what to look at. The settings menu says it changes the quality of the height field terrains like forest floors or mountains. And here I think I am looking at a forest floor and I see a difference in FPS. Medium runs about 1 to 2% higher in FPS than the high setting. But well, I don't see any other differences. So let's look at a mountain then and see if we can spot some differences there. And here we can see some differences. You see the mountain in the distance, it has a bit more straight edges on medium than it has on high. Well, if your friends come over and you show them this game with terrain quality at medium, doubt any of them will cry out in pain that it hurts their eyes and you should turn it up back to high. So medium it is for the terrain quality, for the ever so slightly win in FPS. Texture filtering. So looking at the street you'll see, especially on the low level, that the textures are a bit less sharp. You can see it best at the end of the street I think, when you look at the puddles, but in the foreground as well. It's a win, again a low win of just 1% when you set this to low, but I'd say leave this one to high and then get your win from lowering the texture resolution. Now texture resolution has 4 settings, low, medium, high and ultra. and I only show you the difference between low and ultra, because that's the kind of person I am, keeping information from you, because, well, to be honest, because when I was recording this, I saw no difference at all and thought, why record 4 videos where there is no difference? I can just record low and ultra and show them that there is no difference. However, when I was putting the screen next to each other in editing, I did see the difference, but I think it's a very small one graphically. On low the textures are a little bit less sharp than at the ultra level, but I still think on low they look great. So on low you win FPS not much again, 1%, but it uses 2 GB less in VRAM, and because you keep texture filtering to high, I think you can turn this one to low and everything looks great as well. And on to the next one, and the last one I would like to discuss in this video, the volumetric lighting, and that mainly controls the God rays you see. Now, the high graphics preset for the game already sets this setting to the medium quality level, and well, for my optimized settings, I think I agree with that. You win a nice 6 to 7% in FPS going from high to medium, and medium still has some nice defined God rays. At low, they get a bit too vague, I think. On mediums, you still see that it's a ray. It's not just some light shining through trees. I do like the sharpness of the rays on the high setting though, but for the optimized setting, set it to medium. I didn't test the volumetric spotlight quality because I didn't see any spotlights, but I think the difference is the same as it is for the volumetric lighting. Therefore, we keep that setting the same at medium. And that is Alan Wake 2 optimized settings except the ray traced ones. I think the game without ray tracing already looks really good. It's a beautiful game, but one that is heavy to run on your system. But well, I guess we can't have beautiful games that are cheap to run. Haven't played the game very far yet, just the first 2 chapters. Well, by the time you see this video I'll probably be a little bit further, but I really like the game so far. Little bit creepy, nice detective gameplay, great looking, and that always makes it fun to explore the world. Can't wait to see how this story unfolds. But that is it for now. So I've already recorded all the ray traced footage of Alan Wake. I just need to write a script and record my ever soothing voice to go along with the images. And of course edit it all together. Don't want to keep you waiting too long on that video, so expect it in a week or 2. Probably 2. That video is completely about the ray trace settings of Alan Wake 2, and these settings get a bit weird or confusing sometimes, so, well, cool. Thank you of course for making it all the way through this video, and thank you for watching. Please leave a like, please subscribe, as it really helps me motivated. Now I'm thinking about setting up an Instagram account for Henkis Gaming, so you can keep up more of what I'm playing at the moment or what my next video will be about. But let me know in the comments if Instagram is the way to go, or should I go to TikTok, or what's there, Facebook, or OnlyFans? Well, take care, thanks for watching, and houdoe.